This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, there has been passionate debate at the Dunedin City Council's 10-year plan deliberations. A young Dunedin songwriter's composition is being played in schools across the nation. And an old school public telephone box has been lovingly restored by a dedicated bunch of blokes. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Sophie Morris. Dunedin ratepayers will subsidise rents for community housing after a vote on the issue was passed by the slimmest margin. Council flat rents are set at $135 a week, and there was heated debate on who should pay for a $15 rent shortfall.
Social housing is proving a hot-button topic for Dunedin City councillors during their 10-year plan deliberations. Marie Laufiso reminding her fellow councillors of their responsibilities.
So please do not be picking and choosing. This suite helps us take care of the people. That's our job.
A $15 subsidy for the council's current stock of 936 units would cost $730,000 a year, equivalent to a rates rise of 0.45%. Councillor Jules Radich said a $15 increase is significant, but tenants aren't the only ones facing increased costs. However, Councillor Laufiso says the economic playing field is not level across society.
It's like, there, but for the grace of God go I. So stop picking and choosing about what you think is sustainable, because you haven't had the challenges, most of you. That I know that people, poor Pākehā people, Māori and Pasifika in particular, have had to live through, and our decisions affect them.
The Dunedin City councillors debated the issue on the first day of deliberations for the 10-year plan and voted 8-7 in favour of subsidising. Feedback from the consultation process was also in favour of the proposal, with 59% of submitters agreeing with subsidising rents. 10-year plan deliberations are scheduled to run daily and finish no later than close of business this Friday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Residents in the Lower South Island are set to see gaps in supermarket shelves as work continues to reopen delivery routes. After record rainfall over the weekend, State Highway 1 was closed around the Ashburton area. A Countdown spokesperson says the company is facing issues with deliveries to Lower South Island supermarkets. Some shelves in the fruit and vegetable section at the central Dunedin Countdown were empty today due to delivery delays. Ashburton District Council says the local bridge on State Highway 1 will likely remain closed for several days. Contractors are working to establish an alternative inland route, which may be open later tonight. A song spawned during a summer spent in the back of a car has become a hit with school pupils around the country. The 14-year-old writer entered her song in a nationwide competition and was pleasantly surprised it took out the top prize.
A winning rendition of a winning song, which stopped the nation yesterday. Pupils at Dunedin's St Clair School taking part in a noon sing-along of 14-year-old Otago girls pupil Anna Feli's song Aroha I Aotearoa as part of the closing events of New Zealand Music Month. However, the songwriter says her winning song was born from boredom.
Yeah, because it was a really long trip because we went up to the top, so like the north of the South Island, and I got really bored because it was like 3 hours or something, and when I didn't know what to do, my sister was just doing her own thing, and so I took my ukulele out and I just kind of did a little quiet strumming and tried to find a few chords that would work.
Anna Fillet says winning the nationwide hook, line and sing-along competition wasn't on her mind as she looked out of the car window strumming chords. And she became inspired as she looked at the scenery passing her by. A couple of weeks later, she tidied up the song and entered it in the competition. While she was blown away by taking out the title, she was completely taken aback by the kids' enthusiasm for her tune.
I thought it was honestly amazing. Like, I didn't think it was going to be like that. I thought maybe some of them would know, you know, maybe 10 or something, and then maybe just 1 or 2 people on ukulele, but they were all really good.
As part of the prize, her song was recorded at Auckland's Roundhead Studios. Then pupils around the country used online resources provided by the New Zealand Music Industry Commission to not only learn to sing the song, but also to sign it using New Zealand Sign Language, as well as playing it on ukuleles. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The man who allegedly stabbed 4 people in a Dunedin supermarket will continue to keep his identity secret. The 42-year-old appeared in the High Court at Dunedin this morning, facing 4 charges of attempted murder after allegedly attacking 2 staff members and a married couple at the Cumberland Street Countdown on May 10. The victims have since been discharged from hospital. The defendant attended today's hearing by audiovisual link from prison and remained silent and impassive throughout. Justice Cameron Mander is allowing continuation of the name suppression while a psychiatric report is being completed. That issue will be revisited when the defendant next appears in court later this month. One of Dunedin's earliest phone boxes has been refurbished by a handful of Tairi blokes who wanted to preserve a piece of the past. The Tairi blokes shed has restored the historical phone booth, which had deteriorated after about a century out in the elements.
The Tairi Historical Society's museum near Outram has had its old red phone booth returned after workers from the Tairi Bloke shed repaired the deteriorated corner posts and roof.
The timber had softened and deteriorated, so the blokes shed decided that they could do the job, and so we uplifted the whole phone booth and took it off to their sheds. And it's been rebuilt, as you can see, with all the timbers replaced as necessary.
Beardsmore believes the phone box dates back to the early 1900s and saw service in Dunedin's Mance Street until the 1980s.
You've got to remember back in time the phone booths were of this shape, and then they had these more modern rectangular ones. So the old ones had deteriorated a little, so they were changing them. This one became surplus to requirements, and the society of the day thought it would be a good repository out here at the park, seeing no one else wanted it.
The booth is fitted with a telephone dating back to the beginning of last century, so the visiting public can try and ring for an operator, but they probably won't get through.
People enjoy it and they photograph beside it, and the wee phone still works inside. When you ring, it makes the dial tone and the ringing sound, but it doesn't connect anymore.
The repairs were done at cost by the Tairi Bloke shed. Near Outram, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, the Australian and New Zealand Prime Ministers visit Queenstown, and a new Dunedin chef is working towards zero waste.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life, Tuesdays, 7:30.
Introducing Tussock Country, New Zealand's hot new country music festival. 9 days, 30 plus events and unlimited southern hospitality. Plan your visit and buy tickets today.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Otago. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, worn ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
Welcome back. The partners of the two Prime Ministers visiting Queenstown yesterday were given a tour of their own while the Prime Ministers held formal talks. Remarkable's primary school pupils performed a po footy to welcome Jenny Morrison, who is the wife of Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Also present was Clark Gayford, who is fiancé of New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and was once an employee of Channel 39. Mrs Morrison was given a lolly bouquet as she wouldn't be able to take flowers back to Australia, and Mr Gayford, who is a keen fisherman, received a chocolate fish. The Dunedin City Council has proposed to halve the size of its planned landfill in the hills behind Brighton Beach. The City Council says a proposed reduction in the size of the Smooth Hill landfill will allay community concerns about the project. Over the last year, Brighton Beach locals have been staging protests against the proposed landfill. The new plans will avoid existing wetlands and see a change to the landfill's development stages, leading to a more typical bottom-up filling method. Dunedin's Nova Cafe and Restaurant has a new chef whose aim is to see the busy eatery have zero waste going to landfill. The restaurant also goes out of its way to ensure much of the produce used in the kitchen comes from local suppliers.
Kane Bamberry has taken on the job of head chef at Dunedin's Nova Cafe and Restaurant, with the objective of having zero waste going to landfill, meaning that all food scraps go to compost.
To keep our food waste out of landfill, and seeing there's nothing set up in Dunedin yet, our owner's taking it to his farm, composting it, worm farming it for us. Working with Doubtnot Compost too, back at Logan Park, but it's just struggling to get the land and to get basically the council on board.
Bamberry says the biggest challenge in running an environmentally sustainable restaurant is finding a way to deal with the soft plastics used in food packaging.
Basically the soft plastic, it's the only thing I'm having trouble with. But there's a North Island company that make fence posts out of it in New Zealand, and I contacted them last week, and they're more than happy for us to collect it and send it to them at our own expense. So we'll look into that, but he's building a facility in the South Island within 6 months. So people are onto it. And what an initiative, reuse plastic to make fence posts.
Rather than being supplied by food wholesalers, Bamberry prefers to locate good local producers and get the food direct, helping the small suppliers grow their business.
Neil from Garden to Market, he's amazing. Radishes, turnips, kales, silver beets. Sat down with him last week planning for next year already and the quantities we need, you know. Again, getting up to Pleasant Point, amazing produce out there, just grown so local. So it's unique. Ben from, you know, Brightside Micros, now he's starting mushrooms, and we had his first batch of oyster mushrooms growing in Brighton. So I think if the demand's there from the chef and they're willing to pay the price, they'll grow it. They'll grow anything we want. So getting on board with those boys too, helping them out.
A previous restaurant of Banbury's won Best Restaurant in the Cuisine Good Food Awards while he was at the helm. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, Rio Tinto pledges millions of dollars towards environmental remediation in the South, and we check out the weather.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life, Tuesdays, 7:30.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Otago. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, worn ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
Hey, what have you got? Okay. Chicks World, party time, excellent. Love it. Chicks World. Chicks World. Right.
Welcome back. Mining giant Rio Tinto has pledged millions of dollars towards environmental remediation work in the south. As the company closes its aluminium smelter at Tiwai Point, it promises to remove discarded dross and significantly reduce cyanide getting into the marine environment. The company has also said it will take over the $4 million in funding commitments already pledged by the government and others, so as to deal with the potentially toxic smelter dross stored in Mataura. Invercargill Deputy Mayor Nobby Clark has joined other community leaders in saying the promises are a big step in the right direction. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. There has been passionate debate about social housing at the Dunedin City Council's 10-year plan deliberations. A young Dunedin songwriter's composition is being played in schools across the nation. And an old school public telephone box has been lovingly restored by a dedicated bunch of blokes. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Craig.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We've got more on the floods, of course, through Ashburton. we carried a story this morning predicting that there could be some difficulties with food supplies, and we got scoffed at by a few on social media, which isn't unusual for us, I guess. But if you look around some of the supermarkets today, there are some real concerns about shortage of vegetables, fruit and bread and milk as well. Of course, they discovered first thing this morning as well that the State Highway Bridge at Ashburton has got some significant issues with it as well, and is out of action for the time being. So yeah, more concerns growing about when we may be able to get some of those trucks back through down south. Rail's out as well for a few days, so yeah, Transit's working pretty hard to try and get those things moving. So we've got the latest on that. They're hopefully getting an alternative route up and running by early tomorrow morning, so we'll have all the latest on our website and in the paper. Changes on the way for rubbish collection in Dunedin as well. The long-term plan discussions this week. They've opted to introduce up to 3 more bins in Dunedin by 2023. It's a general waste bin, a kitchen waste, and then the option of a green waste as well for those that want it. So nice to see Dunedin City catching up with some of the other big cities around the country finally.
Nice.
On our fresh pages, we take a look at Wanaka and the booming artisan food industry that's going on up there. Recent Outstanding Food Producers Awards were held throughout New Zealand, and there was a swag of medals that went to Wanaka for anything from honey to relish and ice cream. So the judges made special mention really of the little hub that seems to be created in Wanaka, and yeah, well worth getting up and trying some of the produce. And just finally on sport, it's rugby over this side of the world, but all the cricket's happening in England at the moment. Of course, the Black Caps due to start a 2-test series against England tomorrow night. We take a look at that, and yeah, have a look at our chances. Of course, it leads into the World Championship Test final as well against India, which is later in the month. But also whether Devon Conway, who's our South African run-scoring now a New Zealander, whether he's going to make his Test debut for New Zealand at Lords. So with all that and more in the paper.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Craig. And now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with a southern view, looking south along Cumberland Street under a blue sky. Looking at the situation, fine weather should prevail for a few days before another trough arrives at the weekend, bringing some cloud and rain. To the northwest, scattered showers in Greymouth and 14 degrees, while it's partial cloud and 14 as well for Westport. To the northeast, partial cloud with 16 degrees in Nelson and 15 in Blenheim. In Canterbury, mostly sunny in Kaikoura with 14 degrees and partial clouds and 14 in Christchurch and Ashburton. To the southern towns, moderate westerlies, some cloud and 11 degrees for the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. In central, light winds and fine conditions for most areas with 13 degrees in Alexandra, 12 in Wanaka and 11 in Queenstown. Te Anau can expect moderate westerlies, some cloud and 11. To the northern towns, light winds, fine conditions and 14 degrees for Timaru, Oamaru, Twizel and Omarama. In Dunedin, mostly cloudy tonight with a low of 6. Mostly cloudy and cool tomorrow with moderate westerly winds. Clearing weather tomorrow night with light frosts, a high of 12 and a low of 0. Mostly fine and sunny on Thursday with light northeasterly winds developing. Cool with frosts again Thursday night, a high of 13 and a low of -1. And in Otago, a few showers developing tonight with westerly winds and a low of 8. A period of cloud and showers early tomorrow, then clearing and sunny periods increasing later. Cold southwesterlies freshening, then decreasing. Fine and frosty tomorrow night, a high of 12 and a low of 0. Mostly fine and sunny on Thursday with light westerly winds, high of 14 and a low of 5. That's all for our news this Tuesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.